All right, in the previous video, we had implemented Google social sign-on for Salesforce login, isn't it? However, there is an error, isn't it? We were not able to successfully sign in, and then most importantly, we were not able to auto set up the user, isn't it? So that's where we had an error, and now we are going to troubleshoot the error and then see what really went wrong, and then we can solve this issue. Yeah. To start with troubleshooting, or rather, I'll put it this way. So when you configure the authentication provider, right? I'll go to that authentication provider. I will go to Google. This is where, yeah, this is the authentication provider that we had set up, isn't it? So when you configure authentication provider, there is this custom error URL. So instead of taking user to a generic error page, right, which simply says that we cannot log in you and then speak to the administrator about this issue, all such things, right? Instead of showing a Salesforce generic page, we can able to have a custom error, have a public page, where we can customize the error message to show on the page. Number one. Number two, we can also able to gather error information, so that we can able to figure out what exactly went wrong, when the authentication happened. So if you could recollect, this is the URL, right? This is the URL of the generic error page, correct? And if you just take a look at it, there are three parameters: error code, and the error, the actual error description, yeah, and the provider ID. So basically, this is what you can able to use to identify what went wrong. What is the actual error that happened during this handshake between Salesforce and Google. So in this case, I see attempt to dereference null, some error, right? How do we debug? So let's start with that. So in this case, I have logged in as John Doe, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to enable debug logs for John Doe. That's the first thing. Okay, I'm going to do it. So this is John Doe. Okay, I just enabled. This is John Doe, right? Yeah, good. So he's a system administrator. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the. Let me just go to debug mode. Yeah, as you can just see, isn't it? I can create a new debug, trace flag. I can just go here and then set up John Doe, user as John Doe, and then I can just set up the start and end time. Okay, and then I can set the debug level as well. So I can do it. I can just simply save this. So right. Yeah, so now I've just set a debug log for John Doe. So now when I log in as when John Doe, when something goes wrong, when something goes wrong, with John Doe's in login, right? It just starts logging the error. Yeah. So again, I can just go here, and what I can do is I can just choose the Apex class this time. Okay. Why I'm choosing an Apex class? Because it is the Apex class that helps us to, auto create the user, isn't it? So I'll go to the Apex class. So if you just recollect, when the authentication provider was created, there was a step where we said, okay, auto create, a registration handler, isn't it? Remember? Yeah. So I'm gonna say if something goes wrong in this particular class file, just debug. Okay, just debug. So I'm just choosing Apex class. I will just choose the handler, auto create registration handler. I will just set the debug level. I'll just say, bring all the information. Just say save. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, open a new cognitive window. I'm going to go to the developer console. Okay. And I'll go to the logs. I'll keep this, open. While I keep this window open, I'll go to incognito window. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to log in. I'm going to use this URL and then try to log in, using my Google credentials. Okay. So this is the login page, isn't it? Yeah. So now when I click on login with Google, let's see what happens. Yeah. Okay. This is the error, right? This is the error. So now if I go back to the org, and if you just look at the developer console, you can just see there is a error, right? Update failed, first exception, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. Something went wrong right here. Okay. So if I go to the debug, okay. So anyway, so now the good thing is, right, I'm able to see the logs, correct? I'm able to see the logs. So what I'll do is I'll first go to this file, I'll go to open and then break the class. Yeah, this is the handler class, right? So this is what I'm going to use now. Okay. So what I'll do is, so let's go back here. Let's close this incognito window. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some debug, statements like system.debug, debug inside create. So that is this update, user as well. Okay, so if you watch closely, okay, we watch closely this, right? Remember we just changed this username, right? Instead of waiting for the username come from the Google, we decided to just strip the first name, the username from the email address, right? But what we did miss is this. Okay, here, we missed replicating the same step. So it is still referring to this data.username. So I'll just change this as well. Okay, I'll copy this. I will put it right here. Okay, this is the new change that I'm doing. Okay, and perfect. I'll save this. All right. Good. It is still saving. Okay. And what else? Should be fine. So wherever you think you can able to add some debug statements, do it so that we can able to troubleshoot where exactly things are going wrong. Okay. So this is fine. And okay, I'm not going to go to the update user now. I'll just stick with the create user for now. Okay. Let me go back and then try to troubleshoot this again. Okay. So let's do that. All right, let's hit enter. Yes, now I can just see login with Google option. Let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna just use my email to log in. Let me do that. All right, let me enter my password. Again, there is an error, isn't it? So let's cross check. Okay, let's cross check that error. Let's copy this code. Otherwise, we can just go to the dev console and you can just see this. There is an error. Okay, it says success. Okay, it says success, but I don't think a user got created, but let's cross check. Okay, but the good thing is, we got all the information, isn't it? So as you can just see, I have this is the user data that is coming. Yeah, the entire user data. I see the email from Google, in fact, the email, first name, last name, etc., etc. You know, and I see username is null. Remember, this is the reason, why I just used email to extract the username. Yeah, we use substring function, correct? Good. But still there is an error, isn't it? So let's go and then cross check what is the error. Let's copy that. Okay, and we can just put it right here. Yeah, and the error says language bad value for restricted pick list. Oh, okay, so I got this problem. So what I can do is I'll just go here. So I'm just trying to pick, if you look at the code, we are just trying to pick uh, the language local key, from the user info. Instead, I can just, for now I'll just hard code this. Okay, all right, I'll just hard code this with en_us. Okay, yeah, I believe it is underscore, it's not hyphen, but anyways, let's cross check. I'll just save this first. Okay, all right, now this is cool. Let's go back and then hit the URL again. So let's remove the error, hit it again. So this will automatically take, the previous session, and then it will try to create a new user. Let's see. I think it is working now. Yeah. So now you can just see this, right? I got automatically logged in, correct? So which means there was a user created automatically back in, Salesforce. Let's cross check that. Okay, so if I go to the profile, I can just see my name right here, isn't it? So which is pretty cool. Let's also cross check, whether the user has been created or not. So let me go back to the org and I'll go to users. Okay, so what we can do is, if you look at the code, I'm trying to assign, a profile with a custom profile. This is custom school IT ops. So let's see if there is a user with that profile creator. You can just see is right away, Rajesh, and then you can just see the profile school IT ops. Perfect, isn't it? Yeah. So this is how, you can auto create user. Not only that, when there is something wrong, when you find there is something wrong when in the handshake between Salesforce and social sign-on, it is not just applicable for Google. When you try to integrate Facebook, when you try to integrate LinkedIn or any other third-party authentication providers, you can follow the same steps. Okay, all you have to do is enable the debug mode. Okay, and then just map the apex class. That is very important, so that when something goes wrong in the apex class execution, it gets logged, and you can just come to the developer console and then find what went wrong. You can just add as many system.debug statements as you want, and then troubleshoot the problem. I hope this was helpful. And again, this is a very simple code that creates the user. But in the customer projects, you may have some business parameters. You may have some parameters to cross-check before you return this user, right, to for Salesforce to auto create, right. So you can apply any conditions right here. Okay, and then based on the conditions, you can decide whether user should be granted access and a record should be created or not. So you can explore that later, but this is how you can able to you know troubleshoot an error and then auto create a user in Salesforce while a social sign-on is enabled.